Derek had just picked his daughter up from the babysitter's house and was on his way home when he approached a traffic light that had just turned green. Traffic in his lane hadn't started moving yet, so he had to slow to a stop while waiting for the cars in front of him to start moving. That's when he felt an impact.
Oh.
A lady in a Jeep rear-ended him at 45 miles per hour, sending him crashing into the car in front of him. Both Derek and his daughter walked away from the accident without any injuries at all. Unfortunately, the lady driving the car Derek had been pushed into was pregnant, so she requested that an ambulance take her to the hospital just to be safe. The police were called to the scene, and the Jeep driver was found to be 100% at fault. Unfortunately, Derek's car was totaled. JJ was driving his Polestar 2 in Norway when a deer suddenly ran out onto the road. It happened to be a very slippery road surface covered with ice, but luckily, JJ says that his Polestar has good brakes, electronic stability control, and studded tires. We've gotta say, those adaptive lights are really cool. Unfortunately, JJ's studded tires couldn't save him from the accident in this next video. While he was coming down a hill with a small right turn, the car slipped and went a little sideways before hitting the rear left tire against the crash barrier. The car went 3 feet up onto the barrier before landing back on the road. The tire had been sliced by the metal barrier, so JJ had to call roadside assistance. They sent someone to pick up both him and the car. There was damage to the tire, the wheel, and some of the plastic trim. Including a rental car, his repair costs came to about $5,000 US. Ott was driving his Porsche Taycan in Houston, Texas, when a car came flying off the exit ramp, crossed 3 lanes, and made a rather spectacular move on the sidewalk. With this particular sidewalk being especially wide, maybe they thought it was a turn lane. That poor yield sign never saw it coming. After Ott made the turn, he followed the car into a parking lot to see if they needed any help, but they quickly disappeared. Aaron was approaching a roundabout on his brand new bike and was signaling to exit when he saw a driver entering the roundabout right in front of his path, failing to yield even though he had the right of way. He was just able to stop in time without any collision, and as a self-proclaimed hothead in his mid-20s, he followed the driver out of the roundabout, giving him a mouthful and some special hand signals. While Aaron says he regrets acting so dangerously out of anger, he's glad he didn't end up in an accident.
What the f*** are you doing?
Aaron reported the driver to the police for dangerous driving and failure to yield using the vehicle's registration number. He never heard back from the police. Zach sent us this video of his father driving his semi-truck. He was heading back to his shop when he witnessed an accident. He was trying to pass a truck in the right lane when the front right tire exploded, sending the truck careening off the road. The truck landed on its side just before it would have entered oncoming lanes. Zach's dad pulled over and called 911 and offered the other driver a copy of his dashcam footage. Watch what this submitter witnessed while driving his Ford F-150 in Canada. The driver of a gravel truck said his brakes had failed. He flew through the intersection, nearly hitting multiple vehicles before T-boning a teenage driver. She ended up needing to be taken to the hospital. The occupants of the other cars that had been hit walked away without any serious injuries. This submitter was driving his Ford Mustang Mach-E with his 4-year-old son when they were excited to see the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. Let's be honest. It sounds like the submitter was a little bit more excited than his son was over this sighting.
It's the Wienermobile! Did you see that? Did you see that? Wow!
Here comes a story involving a different orange car, and it's from Ryan, who was driving his Nissan Xterra full of friends when, all of a sudden...
You dumb
Ryan tried his best to stop, but he simply didn't have enough time. After the shock wore off and the police had arrived, the other driver and one of his friends ended up going to the hospital. His friend was released that night with no injuries, and he never heard from the other driver. Ryan filed an insurance claim, and they said his car was totaled, but Ryan and his mom fought tooth and nail for money to fix it up instead. This car means everything to him. After 6 months of waiting, she was finally fixed. Ryan says the orange beast never dies. This was one of 4 accidents Ryan had in this car in 2021. Apparently, people have a hard time seeing the color orange. Daniel was on his way to work and was stopped at a red light. He'd left some space for people who may be turning into or out of the gas station on his right. A woman took the opportunity to pull out and turn left, but she didn't even slow down to check for oncoming traffic. She came within an inch of hitting Daniel's car. Both cars pulled off to the side of the road to assess the damage. David didn't bother to stop as he was already running late and there were other witnesses to what had happened. Greg was driving his semi-truck in Birmingham, Alabama when someone in a big hurry passed him. Greg isn't sure if the other driver sustained any damage. He missed Greg, but it looks like he might have clipped either the barrels or the barrier. That was very disrespectful to pull that stunt in an active construction zone. Rodrigo was driving to work in Mexico when a gas truck lost a sign, which then hit Rodrigo's windshield. Luckily, he had this dashcam footage to prove what had happened, so he contacted the gas company. They took full responsibility for the damage and paid for the repairs, which cost $300 US. This submitter's wife and son were driving home near downtown Austin, Texas. Watch what happened when she slowed down for traffic.
Are you okay? Are you okay?
They got rear-ended by another driver who shoved them into the vehicle in front of them. Thankfully, everyone involved was okay. The driver that hit them was uninsured. The vehicle had to be towed away and was later declared a total loss. Marcos was passed by a taxi with bad shock dampers, which is why it was bouncing up and down like a lowrider. We're betting that must have been quite the taxi ride for any passengers. Jacob and his girlfriend were on their way home to Slovakia after a road trip around Montenegro. They were about to overtake a truck when the trucker also decided to overtake without yielding to them, almost pushing them into the barriers. The truck driver then blocked them for a while so they couldn't overtake him. Jacob says it was not pleasant to drive on the highway at 20 kilometers an hour, about 12 miles per hour, with cars coming up behind them at 130 kilometers an hour, or about 80 miles per hour. Remember, if you can see a red subscribe button, it means you're not subscribed yet. It would mean the world to us if you would click on it. See you all next Sunday. Do you have a dashcam video that you want to share with us? Please send the video together with a description of what happened using the link in the description below.